Hey, what's up, guys, and welcome back to the Come Play podcast. On this episode, we're going to talk about everything that was said in the Black Ops 4 live stream. We're going to talk about the state of Thursday Night Football, and we're also going to give our Week 3 predictions for the NFL. Along with me today are Bobby and Brendy. So, what's up, guys?
What's up,
Yo.
guys?
You've used that one before. Come on, man.
Then don't tell me what to fucking say then.
Yeah, so we're going to start off. Don't start that shit already. All right, we're going to start off this podcast talking about some of the Black Ops 4, I guess, things that were said, talking points that were said in the live stream. I'll kind of hand this over to Bobby and Brendy since they know a lot more about this, and they can give you a lot more information than I can. But essentially, for a long time, competitive COD was played in a 4v4 level. They have now changed it to 5v5, which is big news. And they also talked about the COD World League final, which is being held in Vegas. But yeah, I'll let these guys kind of give you all the information, the ins and outs of the situation.
Well, so obviously it's pretty big news. I believe me and Bobby were talking about this earlier. I think Red Reserve has already picked up a fifth. Do you remember who it was exactly?
Let me find out. I still wanted to look anyway to see if there was any other pickups, but in the meantime, just explain the newest rulings for the COD World League this year.
Yeah, so obviously the main thing is the additional player. That essentially means every team has got to pick. They have to pick up an additional player, which means there's going to be a lot more open slots, and free agency is going to be crazy active. And that's the main thing I follow is free agency, who's going in between each team, because the rules are about the Call of Duty roster changes. They're pretty interesting to me. How just a few years ago it was kind of unorganized and teams could literally just hop around from team to team, and but things are kind of set in stone now. Probably ever since Black Ops 2, I would say. They've been pretty stagnant.
So real quick, I just found it was Bant who got hired. I don't know.
That's a great addition.
Yeah. So I don't know much about him, but this team sounds pretty good though. It's him, Rated, Joe, Scraps, and Trey Zero.
Yeah, Vance is one of the best European snipers.
He's a European player. Okay.
Yeah, he's been with Splice in the past. I don't. That may have been his previous team. But yeah, so the addition of the fifth player, it's going to cause a lot of roster changes. I would assume a lot of trades, and like I said, free agency is going to be very, very active, as I would imagine.
Oh yeah, I'm sure. So that means that Roster Mania is going to go nuts in the middle of the season. I'm sure. I cannot wait. Even Nameless was saying that he's going to come back out of it. He retired in the middle of last season. He's going to retire, or I'm sorry, he's going to come out of retirement to join in on this because he loves the idea of 5v5. I saw a lot of players advocating for 5v5 a long time ago. So I just like it just for the simple fact it's something different, and with all the hype around Black Ops 4. The COD competitive scene definitely needs a bit of a spark, and this is definitely going to be it. Everyone's going to tune in to see this new format, and we might have some serious gameplay coming up. I am excited.
I'm not gonna lie, everything you just said there was complete gibberish to me. I want to get into that. I used to be into it, but yeah, I just don't follow it anymore. But it is interesting. I mean, from what you guys have talked about and what I picked up on, seems like a pretty big change. And I'm a COD player. I just never really got into the competitive scene of it, but it's I know it's a pretty big thing. Moving on to our next quick pick, a very quick one here. Just something from the NHL, which is awesome, especially for us. I'm sure it'll help us a lot. The NHL, NHL.com, has basically made a new website. It's just records at NHL.com, and if you want to look up a stat for anything, or draft history, or standings from 1985, it's all there. It's a pretty awesome website for for something for somebody who loves hockey. It's awesome. I was on there, not too long ago, messing around, and it seems pretty cool. So that'll definitely help us in the future, I'm sure, with our podcast and researching.
And Brendy, you will be happy. They have Lavaland Thrasher stats, literally every single one.
That would just make me depressed. I don't even want to think about that.
Hey, remember when you existed? Remember that?
I do. I really do.
I got a real quick trivia question for you guys. So who is the all-time franchise points leader for the Winnipeg Jets?
Kovalchuk. I don't know.
Yeah, it is.
Oh wow, that was 100% yes.
Yep, and he has not played for the Winnipeg Jets, but he is their all-time franchise leader.
So
okay. I thought you meant I thought you meant exclusively Jets. So that was kind of a joke answer.
No, you got it, man.
All right.
I heard that the other day, and I was just laughing because I just thought of you about that.
That doesn't really surprise me though. Like Kovalchuk, like he was a beast with the Thrashers. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, I mean he was one of the best players in the league for a lot of years. It just obviously things didn't work out, and he went to the KHL, but he's coming back to the NHL this year. But yeah, I seen that stat the other day, and I thought it was pretty funny.
Yeah, that is.
That's pretty funny. It's funny that website's set up too because it has like, oh, look at all the franchises, Winnipeg Jets, and then it's right under it, like Atlanta Thrashers, like just quietly. And you almost forget, like, dude, there are teams on there like old franchises that you never knew existed. Like I didn't even know. I forgot about the Quakers. Like I forgot about the Quakers, and I'm like, wow, yeah, and it has all their stats and stuff like that. Like that's freaking cool.
Yeah,
I don't know. I was in love with this site. I was having fun browsing through it yesterday.
Yeah, I mean, I know there's a lot. There is some sites dedicated to that stuff, but I don't know if they have all the stats like from old time things. I know like a lot of people use like Hockey DB, I think it's called. That's a good one, but it's good to have an alternative. So NHL.com has that.
I don't even know if it's an alternative, man. Like, I mean, this is coming straight out of the horse's mouth here. It's from NHL.com. Like, so it's funny. Like, I keep plugging this guy all the time. The hockey guy on YouTube, he was talking about it. And just how he said he's complained for years how he can't look up stats so easy on an NHL website. He wants it from the official source. So now at this website, it's perfect. Like it's really cool. So just an interesting little tidbit. It was something I was having a lot of fun with.
Yeah, and again, something that we'll definitely be messing around with.
Oh, you bet. Especially with our NHL season previews. Hint, hint, nudge, nudge. Tune into next episode, please.
Yep, episode 8. We will.
Please, we need viewers.
Yeah, please give us money. Sponsors. Where are the sponsors at? Come on!
Our next, this is also going to be a quick one from the NHL. This is the clip we have, which is just awkward. There's no other way to put it. Basically, just give you kind of an idea of what's going on. Pierre Dorian, the GM of the Ottawa Senators, a team that is falling apart quickly. They have an owner who doesn't want to spend money in Melnyk. He was basically interviewed. I don't know. I'm pretty sure it was David Amber was the guy interviewing him. But I don't know if it was for TSN or something. But either way, I'll have Bobby play the clip now, and you can see his interesting answer.
Pierre, what's the number one thing you're optimistic about in terms of the Ottawa Senators? We're a team.
And I just hold on. So I just want to point out that silence wasn't an audio glitch, wasn't a mic being turned off. You have to go watch the clip. Go watch it. Like the audio does not do it that much justice. He sits there and like stares at the floor for a solid 3 to 4 seconds, thinking about what he could possibly say. I try not to make fun of franchises, but man, when your GM is saying stuff like that, like how do you even get on the ice? Like, yeah. I don't even know anymore, man.
So I mean, we talked about last episode. The big NHL news from the past week was that Erik Karlsson, the Senators captain, was traded to the San Jose Sharks, and that was kind of I feel like the last domino kind of thing. Like, they've made all these trades, and from a Sharks standpoint, like I believe we fleeced the Ottawa Senators not once but twice because back in I want to say June,
Hoffman.
yeah, we made the trade for Hoffman and then whatever, and then like I think it was 16 minutes later we flipped him and got more back than what we gave up like from him for the Senators.
Mm-hmm.
So we fleeced him there, and then I believe we fleeced him on this Carlson trade. So
I mean, yeah,
it's
did.
not looking good.
You did. You absolutely did.
So, I mean, I think honestly the happiest team in the league right now is the Colorado Avalanche because they actually own the first round pick of the Ottawa Senators this year. So that could potentially be a number 1 overall pick, and that would be incredible for the Avalanche. But man, that that could be a team that sets a record for the least amount of points in the league. That's going to be a tough team, and I know there's a lot of fans in Canada who are very passionate about the Senators, but it's hard to it's hard to it's hard to root for a team like that. Is basically what I'm trying to say when they're that bad. But yeah, just a funny clip there. Moving on to some Olympic news. Actually, some pretty cool stuff. The North and South Korea, excuse me, have put in a bid together to host the 2032 Summer Olympics. This is after in the past Olympics in Pyeongchang in South Korea, they had a joint hockey team, a women's hockey team, which unfortunately they didn't perform the best. I don't even think they had a win. I think one game they might have lost like 10-0 or something. But honestly, like I watched those games and it was amazing to see what was going on in Pyeongchang. The fans were excited every time they touched the puck, and it was kind of amazing. No, honestly, it was electric. Like as bad as like the performance was, like it was so cool because like it was almost like you were watching two countries come together and unify, like
in the middle of a war. It felt like it was in the middle of a war. Like, okay, these two countries have like been on the verge of blowing each other up for how many years?
They're still technically in war.
Yeah, they are still technically in war. Yeah, and then they're like, okay, you know what? Let's play hockey together and let's completely suck at it too.
Nah, but it was awesome to watch, and also there is a chance they said in a statement as well that they could participate jointly in the 2020 Olympics that are set to be held in Tokyo. So it's kind of cool, like I said, especially with happened, how they unified for the hockey team last Olympics to see them coming together and maybe at some point can have some peace. But yeah, it was kind of a story that broke overnight that we wanted to cover because I don't know about you guys, I'm a big Olympic guy over here.
Same here. So.
Yeah, more so Summer Olympics for me.
Just to recap that, I want to point out that our main guy here, Tyler, was because of his injury, was not working or doing anything whatsoever. So he was basically on Olympic time. So he was up 3, 4, 5 o'clock in the morning watching live games because it was daytime over there. So like,
I don't know. I actually want to put this point to you really quick. It's this always bugs me, but I hate watching stuff when I know it's taped. Is that weird?
Like, yeah, I'm the same way.
I don't know.
You know what? I'm with you, but for really one reason, and it's because of social media existing.
Well, that's the hardest part. Yeah, like with the World Cup, like I was in work, so like I couldn't watch all the games. So like literally I had to basically turn off my phone so I wouldn't get updates, and everybody there that watched the World Cup was like, don't you say anything, I'm going home and watching the games later. But
right.
But no, I basically stayed up until the last games were of the night were done. So maybe like 9 o'clock in the morning, would go to bed and wake up about 5 o'clock at night and watch the rest of the Olympics. And that was my whole schedule through the Olympics. I don't know why I did it or how I did it, but I did it. I love the Olympics, man. So there you go.
I mean, it's kind of like the Miracle on Ice that was on tape delay. Like if that were to happen today, no one would watch. No one would watch it. They
I-
would just follow the results on their phone.
I don't know. I just like if I know something's on tape delay, even though I haven't seen the results, for some reason I just don't like it. I don't know why.
No, I'm
It's
with you
like
though.
always been a thing.
I'm with you though, because it's like, okay, I can't catch every Flyers game in a season, right? Like, and I try to catch every single one that I possibly can because that's my team, right? But it's like let's say I'm working or something, and God bless you.
I'm still sick, by the way.
Yeah. So like but if I know the result, like okay, the Flyers lost 4-1. Like, why am I gonna make myself watch that?
Yeah.
Like, I'm not an analyst or anything like that, and I enjoy watching hockey. It's not like I'm not dying to watch hockey. It's just like I know what's gonna happen, and knowing the Flyers is gonna be the most painful watch, especially if it was for a loss. So I refuse to watch that. Even for a win, I'm just like, well, I already know what happened. I already know who scored. I already know who was net minding. Like, what am I gonna watch it for? With the Olympics, though, it's a little bit different just because it's like a special event. Like, it only happens, once every 2 years kind of thing. So especially for like Olympic hockey, where you only see it once every 4 years, and I'm a big fan of Olympic hockey.
When the NHL players are there.
Well,
not like the last
yeah,
Olympics.
it's interesting. Oh, there was an interesting thing about that that I just heard recently. I won't spend too much time on it. That apparently, so there's been danger of a lockout. I'm sure we'll talk about this as a big topic at some point in the next couple of years with the NHLPA and the NHL having contract disputes. But apparently, at some point, the NHL offered the NHLPA to let players in the Olympics, and the NHLPA actually said no.
Really?
Which to me is very So I mean, I'm sure it was like, oh yeah, we'll let you in the Olympics if you approve this other statute that says something else that probably they're fighting really against. You know what I mean? So of course, NHLPA probably had to say no to whatever. I forget what it was.
Well, you also have to remember there's actually another body in this, which is the IIHF, which is basically the International Hockey Committee, essentially, is what it is.
Right.
And they kind of have a say in it too. And they're not happy with the NHL. The NHL isn't happy with them, and that was kind of the whole thing. Obviously, there's contract stuff and all that, and money and crap that with this Olympics, but like bottom line is they're not happy with each other. And the NHL basically said, well, we're going to skip this Olympics and we'll be there for the next Olympics. And the IIHF was like, I don't know about that. Like, you can't skip one Olympics on us and then just come back whenever you want. So
yeah, it's not
that'll
how that
be an
works.
interesting thing to follow. There's a lot of stuff. Unfortunately, hockey, like, I feel like more than any other sport, always has problems with like their CBA and stuff like that. There's always talks of a lockout. There was one back in 2013. Yeah, 2013, 14. So, yeah, it'll be interesting. But yeah, we'll get to that at some point.
Yeah, we'll definitely have a big conversation about that stuff. So
our next quick pick is something that's close to my heart, and somewhat Brendy, just because he follows MLS.
Somewhat me, because I'm from the area, even though I don't know a single goddamn thing about this team.
The Philadelphia Union are set to play the Houston Dynamo in the U.S. Open Cup final September 26th. I am a Union fan. I'm wearing their T-shirt right now. I've said this before on prior podcasts. I like watching international soccer more in terms of, like, not international like countries, but more Premier League, Bundesliga, Serie A, stuff like that. But I follow MLS a little bit. I've been to a couple Union games this year. They're fun as hell. I'd recommend anybody to go to an MLS game because the atmosphere is actually really good. But anyway, they're going to face the Houston Dynamo in the final, and the Union have actually been there 3 of the past 5 years. Unfortunately, they lost the 2 prior years they were in, but yeah, and the Houston Dynamo, I believe this is their first trip to the final. I'm almost positive on that. So the big thing with the U.S. Open Cup final is you get a direct berth into the CONCACAF Champions League, which is essentially how I explained this to Bobby earlier, is the little brother of like the UEFA Champions League. So the UEFA Champions League is like the European teams, the best European teams in the world come together, have a big tournament. That's essentially what the CONCACAF tournament is, but it's for North America and a select, I think, like 3 South American countries. Toronto FC was in the final last year. So would I like to see them reach that stage? Absolutely. Do I think they will? No. I actually don't think they're that great of a team, but they're doing well in this tournament. So.
They're really not, but like I said earlier, it's usually the teams that are like average or below average that do really well in the U.S. Open Cup.
Yeah.
Like you never it's not usually going to be the fucking Galaxy or the Sounders or Atlanta United in the final because they don't play their best players.
Yeah, it's the same thing with if anybody watches like English soccer, like they have they have the FA Cup, which is a big tournament, but they have something called the Carabao Cup, which literally like nobody cares about. I don't even know why they play it. And teams like Manchester United might play like a team like 3 divisions below them, and they'll play like not even their second team or their third team. Like they'll literally play their 4th team against them because they literally don't care. I mean, I don't think it's that extreme with this, but it's kind of the same situation.
Right. It's just kind of a situation where like you don't want your starters like in Major League Soccer, like you're obviously you're going to be more focused on the regular season than the U.S. Open Cup. It's simple as that. The U.S. Open Cup is seen as secondary. That's all.
Yeah, which is the same thing with other leagues. I think the main goal is to win your league, and then tournaments, you can kind of worry about later. And that's not true with like Champions League, but like the leagues, the tournaments you don't really care about.
Right.
Anyway, I'm going to just speak from the Union perspective here, just because, again, that's a team that I cheer for, and I, to be honest, don't know enough about the Dynamo to come out here and tell you all these stats, but the Union's leading scorer this year, somebody who I've really enjoyed watching, is Corey Burke, who has 8 goals. Is their striker, and somebody who came in, I don't want to say out of nowhere, but CJ Sapong was their guy there. He was their striker for many years, and kind of fell off this year. Not fell off, but he's not playing at the level he should be. And just kind of give you a comparison, like Corey Burke has played 1,029 minutes and has 8 goals, and Sapong has played almost 2,000 and has 4 goals. So Burke has been a performer for us this year. Also, really like Fafa Pico. He was awesome to see when I seen him live. And he also has, his first name is Fafa, so the fans just have a good time with that, chanting his name. But no, I mean, it's a good time. I love I love watching the MLS and the U.S. Open Cup, so I will definitely tune into that. Like I said, that is September 26th, and I believe that's airing on ESPN2. I want to say it's one of the ESPN channels. So if you're interested,
and
tune in.
just really quick about the Dynamo, like I was saying, like it's usually the bad teams that are underperforming, are the underperforming teams that do well in the U.S. Open Cup. Houston Dynamo is currently 9th in the West. They're 13 points behind the 6th place Portland Timbers for a playoff spot.
And I was going to say, I'm pretty sure the Union, the last I checked, were 6th. They might have moved up, but they
moved up to 5th.
Okay, yeah. So there you go.
But it's a close race. Like they could easily be knocked out, like in a couple weeks. Like it just depends.
Right. So yeah, definitely something I'm going to be looking forward to. All right, next we have our usual NFL news, which we have every week. Big one, Bobby. I know you're excited. Josh Gordon has been traded from the Cleveland Browns to the New England Patriots. He was traded for, what was it? I'm actually not sure, a 5th-round pick, I think it was, right?
5th-round pick, yep.
Conditional 5th, yeah, that's right.
So apparently there's also a little bit of a condition where it's like, I forget what it was. It's basically like,
it's if he plays 10 games, like they get a 7th or something like that, or I forget what it, or I'm sorry, maybe if he plays less than 10.
If he's not active for 10, for 10 games, he's they don't have to give up that pick. Yeah, it's a really weird stipulation.
Which, knowing Bill Belichick, he's definitely going to play him 9 games, and then they'll basically clinch a playoff spot at that point, and then he won't play him again.
Yeah, he'll be a healthy scratch, and then it's like, oh god. I mean, all right. So from a Pats fan perspective, right? I'm happy that we got him, right? I know the Eagles wanted him very bad, or at
Okay.
least the Eagles fans did.
Well, real quick, I look, we're from the Philadelphia area, and Eagles fans are crazy and stuff like that. But I swear to God, they think they're playing Madden with no salary cap on because, they're like, oh, every time there's a big free agent out there, oh, we should get Dez, oh, we should get Gordon and stuff like that. Like, do you know like there's a salary cap in this league and like your team is close to it? Like, I just want you to know. Okay, sorry, I just had to put that out.
No, you're good. No, you're good. Listen, I'm happy I got him. I always believed in Josh Gordon. I like the line his comeback. And I definitely think with the Patriots and still without Edelman right now, a little bit of help on the receiving game really never hurts, right? So I don't mind this one at all, especially for a 5th round. That to me, that's kind of a steal. Yeah, I know they were gonna, I know they're gonna release him and all, but still, just for a 5th round pick, yeah, I'll take that any day. I know he has issues, right? The main reason why Cleveland gave him up and really planned to release him in the first place is that they had more concerns he was kind of going back on his old stuff. Apparently wasn't acting like himself in camp or whatever. I'm hoping, for his sake and for the Patriots' sake, that doesn't happen. I really don't. I'd love to see the comeback and him build a legacy of himself in New England. I keep saying, Bill's going to straighten him out. I mean, he's not going to take any BS. You know that. As soon as he gets a whiff, no pun intended, of whatever Gordon's doing, he's going to be gone. He's going to sit, and that'll be that, right? And then so to me, it's like the Patriots really didn't lose or risk much in terms of this.
No, for sure.
So yeah, so like if they have to sit Gordon and he goes away, then it doesn't matter. They get their pick back. So really, what were they really losing? So. I'm happy.
Man, like as a Broncos standpoint, like if you're only giving up a 5th round pick, like I mean for the Broncos, I really like our receivers. Like we have DT, Emmanuel Sanders. We drafted Cortland Sutton this year. Like I don't care who we have. Like if you're only giving up a 5th round pick for Josh Gordon, like I think any team should have done it because like like we seen him last year when he came back from suspension. He kind of lit it up for those 5 games he was back. So it's just. It's annoying for the rest of the league, man. The Browns might have just gave the Patriots another Super Bowl, so we'll have to see.
There is one thing I did want to report though, because I don't know if you guys saw this earlier. So Bill Belichick made a comment today during a press conference that he basically saying something along the lines of the trade is not technically finalized, which is
really?
kind of contradictory. Yeah, so let me explain a little bit. So I'll read, and this is from the Yahoo Sports article. Let me see here for a second. So it was like. This is from, I'm trying to find the author, I'm sorry. Mike Florio, Pro Football Talk on NBC Sports, writing on Yahoo Sports article. I'll just read this out. I saw, quote, I saw that not because it's become out some stupid little shtick, but because it applies directly to the situation involving the Patriots and receiver John. He wrote John Gordon here. No.
Oh, Josh Gordon.
Yeah, Josh Gordon. The Browns have announced that Gordon has been traded to the Pats. The Patriots have announced that Gordon has been traded to the Patriots. Bless you again. And the NFL has announced the trade on its daily transaction report. Despite those basic, undeniable realities, Coach Bill Belichick took the position with reporters on Wednesday that he won't be discussing the player because the trade isn't done. Bill Belichick saying, quote, I'm not going to talk about players that are not actually on our roster totally. Belichick said there are terms that have to be met before the trade is finalized. The Patriots' official roster contradicts that claim. Gordon appears on the active roster and is also listed as a second-string receiver on depth chart behind Philip Dorsett. If any terms need to be finalized, the biggest would entail passing a physical. With Gordon, it's also possible that the Patriots hope to get a fuller picture of whether Gordon faces another suspension under the substance abuse policy. Gotcha. The Browns would likely say they should have done that before doing the deal. So, a little bit interesting. Again, hoping whatever bad things are happening and then weird things are happening with Gordon will get resolved. I really hope it's not what everyone kind of thinks it is, but we're really going to have to see. If Gordon comes back clean, welcome to New England. I'm happy to have you. Now go long. Thank you.
Yeah, and the other thing we seen out of that story too was he actually injured his hamstring at the like a shoot or something like that, a photo shoot. I'm not exactly sure what it was, but he basically injured himself and took himself out of the week 2 games. The
Right.
week 2 games. So um, yeah, I think honestly, like I said, I think it's even if he doesn't, if somehow it comes back where he is back on the drugs, which it would be unfortunate. I mean, you gave up a 5th-round pick. I feel like for a player of that caliber, I think you do that any day of the week. So the Patriots get stronger. The Browns being the Browns. I mean, I think. I mean, again, it was one of those things. I think their GM John Dorsey said it perfectly. Like it was just time to move on. So yeah. Some more. This was a great story. I love this story from the NFL. I'm sure you may have already heard this by now, but Vontae Davis, the cornerback, formerly now with the Buffalo Bills, decided he was done with this bullshit, and he retired at halftime of the game against the Chargers, where at that point they were down 28-3. Vontae Davis played for the Colts. His brother's in the league, Vernon Davis. Interesting, takes from around the league. I know his teammates of the Bills were not happy. I'm trying to think of his first name, Lorenzo Alexander, I think is his name, the middle linebacker for them, was interviewed about it, and he gave the standard, I'm trying to be nice to the media kind of answers, but you could tell he was pissed about it.
Well, I mean, how can't you be, right? You literally have a player retiring at halftime.
Yeah,
Like,
I mean,
what are you even supposed to like about that?
yeah.
Just imagine like you're coming out for the second half and like you're ready to go, and like all of a sudden you see like this new guy like lining up next to you. You're like, wait, who are you? It's like oh yeah, that other guy, yeah, he retired.
Can you imagine that in like college or high school ball?
Oh my god!
Like, and not even like, I mean, if I played basketball in high school, if I retired mid game, it wouldn't even freaking matter. But like, if the top player of a team were to say I quit, like, what are you gonna do? Like, what do you even do about that?
Yo, coach, where's Jimmy? His mom told me he couldn't play football anymore, so he had to leave at halftime.
They had to leave at halftime.
I don't know. I mean, this guy.
When your mom throws their flag on you.
I don't know. Like I always had like a negative view on him anyway for the kind of the stuff he did in Indianapolis. But yeah, this is not a good look. He's 30 years old, which I mean in football years is kind of old just because of the beating they take. I mean he does play corner, which is not like a running back or something, but yeah, just like a really crazy story. Like I actually the first thing I seen it from was like a source that was not like very good. Like it wasn't a credible source. It was like they're probably just fucking around. And then like Sports Center put it out and stuff like that. Like holy shit, this actually happened. So incredible stuff. We have some breaking news into the podcast. And I'm gonna.
Do you have a breaking news soundbite?
Not to play, but it'll be in the edit. So
okay.
And we have 2 pieces of breaking news. Tyler's going to take this first one because I want to present the second one, and I am happy to do.
Wait, I'm taking the breaking news. What? Okay.
Well, yeah. Well, all right. I'll do both. Screw it. All right. Breaking news, everybody. All right. So this is what we're. So this is okay. You could go to hell. So it has been announced today that the USADA, responsible for regulations for UFC, has given John Bones Jones, a 15-month suspension. So this makes him eligible to fight on October 28th of 2019. I believe is what this says here. Retroactive to July 2017. I believe it was the drug test that took the Jones and Cormier fight away. I think is that right? I think that's right.
Yeah,
I could be wrong. But I'm almost positive that's what that is.
Well, I'm looking at this now. Actually, no, it looks like he's eligible to resume this October, right?
Oh wait, is it? Is it?
Yeah, because it's July 28th, 2017.
Oh wait a
was the
second, that's
suspension,
right.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes more sense now. The Bleacher Report tweet had me mixed up. All right, yeah. So John was given a 15-month suspension that would have started July 2017. So he's eligible next month to fight. And I think it's worth noting. I think it's like it's right before their show at Madison Square Garden, apparently, which was part of this. Nobody is happy right now on Twitter. Not a single person is happy. Twitter is going absolutely mad right now. A lot of people calling USADA corrupt. A lot of Joseph Cormier crying because why not? And then there's a lot of fighters who have had more strict suspensions chiming in on this. I don't know. I see them, but I don't have any other stories to comment right now, so I'm not going to do that for risk of being completely fucking wrong. So I'm sure more details will come about, and we'll talk more about them next week. I'm going to make that a quick pick right now for this week to definitely go into a little bit more in detail once all the information out, because this literally just broke like maybe 5-10 minutes ago. The other one broke a couple hours ago. I want to move on here. And it's not technically sports related, but kind of is sports related. So, guys, Spring Hill Entertainment has released the first teaser for Space Jam 2.
Oh.
All right, so
starring who?
All right, so I mean, everyone kind of knew at this point LeBron James is in the movie. Basically, from my understanding, if we're looking at how the first movie was, LeBron James is basically Michael Jordan. So LeBron James is there. So the image it was an image that was posted. That was what the teaser was. It features 4 lockers in a locker room, with the top one saying "B Bunny, number 1 point guard." I don't think I have to explain who that is. LeBron James 23, small forward. Next to it, you
Who's
also took me completely off guard. And you also have Nance. I'm trying to says.
Larry Nance?
No, he's not. He's not. I don't see where is it at? I can't find it. If someone could find that for me, that'd be fantastic. But also announced. Also, I'll look for it when I'm finished talking, because I can't do both apparently. But it also did. I'm sorry. It was the director they announced. So Nance was the director of the film. They just gave him a locker, I guess, and that's the director. And the producer is Ryan Coogler. Why his name is big is because he was also the producer of Black Panther last year. So, yeah, I'm excited. I don't know about you. I liked Space Jam. This is 22 years. Well, I don't know when the movie is supposed to be out. I'm not quite sure yet. I'm trying to read here some extra details, but this just broke as well. But I definitely wanted to mention this because I think this is freaking cool. Yeah. So the film production on the Warner Bros. Film is tentatively slated for 2019. So we still got a while to go. So they're not even going to start filming until next year. Terrence Nance. He is he was the director. He created HBO's Random Acts of Flyness. And he also directed the experimental oversimplification of Her Beauty. I don't know either of those, but those are his background. So they will be beginning production in 2019. And yeah, I'm excited. It'll be very interesting. So the LeBron James and Bugs Bunny. I'm kind of excited.
Yeah, that was a classic. That came out before I was born, but
November 15th, 1996. So yeah, a whole year before you and I were born, definitely.
Yeah.
So. Wow, that's a short movie. I just realized it's only 88 minutes. Really? Okay, that's kind of cool.
I couldn't tell you the last time I watched it, but yeah.
Oh no, it's been years.
Now I kind of want to watch it again.
Yeah.
Now that news broke. This is kind of a good time for that breaking news because it kind of leads into our next and final 2 quick picks, which is some
It's like
NBA
I
news.
Planned that or something.
I know. Well, we can talk about.
It's like I saw basketball, and it's like I put it after the Vontae Davis story for a reason. It's like I'm good at my job.
All right. Jimmy Butler of the Minnesota Timberwolves, formerly of the Chicago Bulls, apparently has had it in Minnesota, and he has asked for a trade to some random teams, really, quite frankly. The LA Clippers, the New York Knicks and the Brooklyn Nets. The Brooklyn Nets is the one for me where I'm like, who the fuck would even want to go there? But pretty big news because I still think Butler is, one of the. Again, we can get into this conversation again, but of who's like a superstar and like a star, I think Butler. I've always liked him a lot. I think he's on the cusp of being a superstar, but now could potentially be moving on to his third team in only a couple of years. Brendy, I kind of want to get. I always refer the basketball stories to you, but I kind of want to get your thoughts on Jimmy Butler. The player he is, and kind of the news. I mean, what impact it could make on the league.
Well, I don't know what kind of impact on the league it could make. I definitely think Jimmy Butler is. I wouldn't necessarily call him top tier, but I would consider him like one of the highest tier 2 players, I guess.
Yeah, that's what I kind of meant with like cusp of superstar. I like the way you put it better though.
Yeah, but to be completely honest, I'm not surprised. And when he first got traded to Minnesota, that's when I was completely surprised. Not necessarily that he was traded away from Chicago, just the fact that he was traded to Minnesota. And I know a lot of people cited the reasoning was because of his former coach Tom Thibodeau. I don't think a coach is the only reason someone should want to go somewhere because that really seemed to be the only reasoning I could find behind the trade. So it was a bit of a surprise to me. So him being traded away from Minnesota, I can't really say I'm completely surprised. Like, and keep in mind, like he's just requested a trade. Like, there's no guarantee he will even be traded this season.
Yeah, I mean,
which that with that said, like he probably will with all if he specifically requests one, then there's a good chance. But I'm not completely surprised that he's requesting a trade.
And I mean, I mentioned before interesting teams, but this to me looks like strictly a city thing. Like, you got the Clippers in LA and then the two New York teams like that he wants to go to. It feels like almost just like he wants to be in a big city kind of thing. I don't know. Like that's my first impression because I mean the Clippers are they lost Chris Paul a couple years ago. Blake Griffin is no longer there. Like that team's kind of not what it used to be. And the Knicks, I know a lot of people like would want to go to the Knicks just because it's New York and it's a big basketball city. But like then you got like Brooklyn. Like I don't know. But just to me, it almost sounds like he just wants to play in a big city. I don't know if that's his actual reason, but most guys like a player at his standards, like you might I would think he might go to a team like Houston, like, a team that, well, I mean, I know they just got Carmelo, but like, that's a potential big three there if he went with like Chris Paul and James Harden. So, yeah, I mean, it's just an interesting thing. How much you want to bet the Golden State Warriors somehow get him for a second round pick or some shit?
Well,
That's how they
I'm
make it
already
work.
not going to watch the Warriors. I'm going to watch them even less now if that were to actually happen.
And he'll like get paid like $500 a season to play
Yep,
for him.
exactly.
Yeah, so that was a story that broke today.
Golden State is so over the salary cap that I don't understand how they're able to pay for their team.
I mean, they got guys playing for a Snickers bar though. Like
they still have the highest payroll in NBA history, and it's not even close.
I know, but like you had like DeMarcus Cousins like take a huge pay cut just to play for them, and
Yeah.
it's like I mean, I'm just messing with like the whole thing of him going there. I mean, I think there's less than a 1% chance he actually goes there, but you never know, especially how the NBA is now.
Yep, we'll just have to wait and see.
And then our last quick pick for today, Dwayne Wade, one of the better players of our generation. I'm going to go out there and say it. Has announced that he's going to play one more season for the Miami Heat, and then he's going to call it a career. So maybe a little bit of a retirement tour kind of thing going on this year. he was the face of that franchise for a long time, and then he obviously teamed up with LeBron James and Chris Bosh to have the big three there, which was obviously a scary team, and they did great things. But I always liked Dwayne Wade. What actually, it's funny when he went to Chicago, I was kind of sad because I like the loyalty when guys stay with a team their whole career. Obviously didn't work out in Chicago, and then he played for Cleveland for a bit. Am I bugging there? Or he did, right? He got traded to Cleveland, right?
You're talking about Dwayne Wade, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Let's see. So he obviously started out in Miami, and then Chicago, and then he played in Cleveland for a little bit.
Yeah, okay, that's what I thought.
And then obviously returned to Miami.
Okay, yeah. So I don't know. I mean, that's one of those things where I like the loyalty. But anyway, I just think, like I said, Dwayne Wade was always one of the good players to watch. So.
He was a bench player in Cleveland, by the way. He was considered kind of like the leader of the second unit.
Yeah, I thought I was bugging for a second, but I was like pretty sure because that's when they basically blew up their team.
Yeah, he had a reduced role.
Yeah, like that. I'm pretty sure they got him the same day, like they traded Isaiah Thomas and stuff like that.
Well, he was traded. Remember when the Cavs did that massive roster overhaul?
Yeah,
thing?
that's what I'm talking about. Yeah, he was that day. He went to the Cavaliers, right? I thought so. Yeah,
he was traded from the Cavs back to Miami.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's right. That's right. I'm Okay. Yeah. So there you go. Yeah, that's our quick picks for this episode. That are never quick, but we try our best. Next, we're going to talk about a topic that we were going to talk about last week, but we did not, and that is the battle royales, the battle royale scene with games like the Black Ops 4 Blackout mode coming out. You have PUBG, obviously Fortnite. So we kind of want to have a discussion, and unfortunately, Zach couldn't make it to the recording today, but we kind of wanted to have him on because he was saying like one of the things is that people are basically saying that the blackout, the new blackout mode is going to keep, it's basically going to take over the battle royale scene, which I don't know, if I totally agree with, but yeah, I know, Brendy, you played PUBG and Fortnite. So, and we all kind of have a pretty good idea of the battle royale. So I kind of want to get your guys' take on that topic. We've seen. I never got hands on with it. I don't know if you guys have with the Blackout.
I got a couple games in.
Yeah, I actually got codes. I just never had the chance to play them. Any game. So, yeah. What's your guys' thoughts with people kind of coming out and saying, I mean, I know there was a lot of good things said about the blackout mode, but what's your whole, I guess, idea of the battle royale scene right now with the inclusion of, the Black Ops 4 blackout mode?
I feel like Blackout is going to be probably one of the last, if not the last, major battle royale game type or just game mode in general that there's going to be. I think the hype for battle royale is dying, and it's dying fast. Not necessarily the game, the games themselves like Fortnite, and PUBG, and even Blackout. Like, I'm not saying they're dying, but what is dying is the hype for it. People are realizing like, if you you're not. Let me finish. Let me finish. The reason it's dying is because it seems like it's all people play and stream now. Like, what happens if people get the same content over and over and over again? They get sick and tired of it, and they want something new. And that's kind of what's been going on for the past year and a half. People want new stuff now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I actually agree with Brendy there. I don't think Fortnite is necessarily dying, but I think even like over the summer, like June, July, like it was so big, and then even just like 2 months later now in September, like I feel like it's even cooled down a little bit. I said this before. I don't think you guys agreed with me, but I'm still sticking to this. COD, with Black Ops 4, I know it's its own thing, and everybody buys COD because they love COD. But I really think this Black Hat mode is going to make or break their game in terms of how much they're actually, how much revenue they're getting and stuff. Because the trend we've seen is like these battle royale modes, and I'm contradicting myself now because I just said they were kind of dying off, but I still think once this game gets released, maybe the hype picks back up again because people are so excited with the release of Blackout. Again, like I said, people like I'm one of those people that buys like Call of Duties, every year or mostly every year because I always think they put out usually a quality game. And that's why people play it for that kind of combat. But I really think like just how big Battle Royale is now, like that's gonna kind of tip the scale in terms of like how much people are actually playing their game and how much revenue they're getting. Like I said, I know you guys disagree with that, but that's just kind of my opinion on that. Bobby, did you have anything to add to the conversation?
I mean, so I played Black. I only got a couple games in the beta, and you know what? I like it. I don't know all the logistics yet. I didn't have time to really go around go logistics. So I was too busy getting my head blown off. But I love the feel of COD, and I played it on the PC for the first time, and it was actually fantastic. But it feels right. I like the first person part of it. I hate third person sometimes in Battle Royale modes. I hate it.
Yeah,
it drives me a little crazy. Can't aim that way. But like I was more interested in the social the social reaction is what I was looking for. Social reaction. So every big streamer and their mother played. Everyone played, and everyone on Twitter, like I didn't see a single bad thing. If anything, I saw what was happening when Fortnite started getting big. It was like, I love this game, but there's a couple constructive criticism things that I have. And Vonderhaar, the lead developer, was being very, very, very active on Twitter during all this, saying like, "Listen, we hear you. Once the beta is over, we're going in and we're going to try some of these issues." And even talking with some of the players who were making complaints, it was actually pretty amazing. And like I've said before, take after what Epic Games is doing, please. It'll save your game. So I liked it so far. Again, didn't get put many hours into it yet. I know I definitely will when it gets released. People were calling it the PUBG killer. So like, this is what PUBG should have been, and PUBG has had problems for since release. My main issue being it is not a very optimized game. I don't have the best graphics card on my computer. I know I don't. I get it. It's very outdated, but it can run Fortnite just fine. It can run all my other games just fine. But God forbid I pull PUBG, it's the equivalent of me shooting it with a gun. Like it drags and drags and takes so much resources, and it never got optimized. That was one of my biggest problems with it. Otherwise, enjoyed the gameplay, but didn't put that many hours into it. Black Ops 4, it's tied to COD. I like COD. It's really nice. It felt nice. And we have, Dr. Disrespect, one of the biggest streamers on Twitch. He even said at one point, guys, I think this is the game. Like, this is it. This is the Battle Royale. There were just a couple of grievances some people had. None of them were really that big. Like, one of them had to do with auto picking up ammo and stuff like that, which Team Vonderhaar is something like they tried that and they didn't like it. But if they get enough people to say they like it, they might add it into the game and a couple other things. I can't wait to experiment more with it personally. It comes out next month, I believe. So I'll definitely be grabbing the copy. I definitely will be playing Blackout. I'm hoping to get some W's, but I'm not making any promises because I freaking suck at these games. But I'm really excited. Compared to the other battle royales currently, I mean, Fortnite's still not going away anytime soon. It really isn't. The one interesting tidbit that I heard though was that Ninja, which by the way, real quick thing on that, he was on the cover of ESPN magazine this month.
Really?
Yeah, I seen that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's nutty. I have to go read it still, but yeah, I encourage everybody to go check that out. It's actually really cool. They do a whole biopic on him. So,
sorry, real quick to cut you off. Yeah. By the way, sports fans were not happy about that because a lot of them believe, esports is not sports.
They need to stop, man. I mean, there's money in it, man. Come on. And even if you don't like it, like ESPN's got to do this. They're making money. Money.
The ESPN Twitter account posted like a picture of the magazine cover on Instagram, and there was I think there was 4,000 comments or something like that. I don't think one was positive. On
Yeah,
people bashing it.
Most of the people who follow ESPN aren't too in the game world. I mean, there's a lot of gamers who follow them, but most of them are the diehard sports fans, and they are still under the impression that esports is not a real sport. But whether you believe that or not, whether you should believe that it deserves to be covered. There's money to be made here. I've been saying this for years.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to say I'm a guru predict this to happen. Everybody did, but before ESPN started covering, I'm like, ESPN should hop on this. There is money to be made here, and they made the smart move. And featuring Ninja was a bold move and a bold step, and I'm happy they did it. I'm very happy they did it. But the interesting thing with him was that he apparently something about, I didn't get to read the whole thing. I just read a headline, but something about him going to a Black Ops 4 event instead of competing in the summer skirmish for Fortnite. That's pretty interesting. I mean, is he gonna turn away from Fortnite? Hell no. But he that doesn't say something about the game, I guess. Then there's something. He was probably invited out, to be honest.
Yeah.
Probably done by the developer, I'm sure. But sounded like he enjoyed the game. And a lot of people enjoyed this game. I am excited for when it comes out.
So I think I said this last podcast, but the one thing I was saying that when I first seen gameplay of Blackout, it looked so much like PUBG, but it just looked like a better version of PUBG to me, kind of thing. I don't know. I mean, I think, like I said, I'm excited for Blackout. I wish I have gotten hands on it at this point, but I didn't. So yeah, we'll kind of have to see how that goes. I don't. Before we sorry.
Before we go on to the next segment, can we just read what Brendy just put in this Discord, please, dear God? All right, let me do this. So, Brendy, our very good social media person, has gone on and found the SportsCenter tweet, just showing a Ninja quote, which it just says, "I can 100% compete at the top level in every game that I play." So, and he also found a very funny reply thread on that tweet from a bunch of different people. So the top one starts with, "I'll kick his ass in 2K right now," followed by, "When you done, send him my way in FIFA," followed by, "When you done, send him my way in NHL," followed by, "When you done, send him my way in Roblox," followed by, "When you done, send him my way in Madden," followed by, "When you done, send him my way in Minecraft," followed by, "When you done, send him my way in Hopscotch," followed finally by, "When you done, send him my way in MVP Baseball 2005. I love it, and Brendy, thank you for gracing.
No problem.
Quality content. Thank you so much. Okay, we're good.
And also, before we move on to our next segment, which is in case you missed it, I actually it's not necessarily breaking news, but it just came through as a notification on my phone, which we were just talking about, the Jimmy Butler trade. So it looks like he's actually trying to go to the LA Clippers. Looks like that is his preferred destination. And he's also looking to go to a team that will sign him to a 5-year max contract, which would be $190 million when he goes to that team. But it looks like what I said before about him wanting to go to a big market is true. That's kind of like it. Basically looks like what he's doing with the whole LA thing. I'm reading here. I'm just trying to read it quickly because I don't want to spend too much more time on it.
We had a lot of breaking news today.
I know. We do. Also, worth noting that Tom Thibodeau says he has no interest in trading Butler. So we'll kind of have to see how that goes over the weeks. But
another Le'Veon Bell situation, I guess.
No, true.
I mean, he probably won't sit, but he'll cause some ruckus.
But I just want to add that, like I said, so it looks like LA is his preferred destination, but we'll have to see what happens with that. Anyway, let's move on now to Brendy's in case you missed the segment.
It has made a triumphant return.
Yep.
After his 1 week absence.
Back, Brendy.
I was actually thinking you guys were gonna do it last week even without me, but
How
Oh,
could we possibly?
All right. All right. Well, so I mentioned this to you guys briefly in the before we started this podcast, but obviously we know about the whole Aaron Hernandez thing. Not going to get into too much detail about that, but basically, basically Aaron Hernandez killed a person and then committed suicide. That's all I'm going to say.
Aaron Hernandez, former Patriots player.
Yeah. Okay. So apparently, someone was quite well informed about Aaron Hernandez before he even went in the NFL during his days in Florida. Who would that be? Urban Meyer. And
it's a name you don't hear every day. Oh wait.
Yeah. So apparently, Urban Meyer obviously coached Aaron Hernandez during his time at Florida. I don't know. I don't know how long. How long was Aaron Hernandez in Florida? Like how long? How many years was he there?
I don't remember, to be honest with you. But I want to say either 2 or 3, but I could be really wrong. I have no
three
idea.
with a 4th and 5th year senior option, maybe. I don't know. I'm trying to
Yeah,
find.
I'm not sure.
I'll look. You can keep talking though.
Yeah, either way, yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, according to a book by let's see, O'Connor by Ian O'Connor. Meyer warned at least one NFL team that it should not draft Hernandez, saying, "Look, this guy's a hell of a football player, but he fucking lies to beat the system and teaches all our other guys to beat the system. With the marijuana stuff, we've never caught this guy, but we know he's doing it. Don't fucking touch that guy." End quote. So what do you guys think about that?
Well, I mean, he wasn't wrong. He just was wrong about the fact that it was about marijuana.
Yep.
I mean, we all know the story from a couple of years ago. I remember watching Sports Center for hours, tracking that story when he was arrested at his home, and then kind of found out about the murder charges on.
The whole case was on TV, right?
Yeah, I can't remember what I can't remember what the man's first name was who was killed. I know his last name was Lloyd. I just can't remember his first name. But yeah, it's interesting. We've bashed on not bashed on Urban Meyer, but when we reported about the whole scandal,
Odin Lloyd,
yes. I'm not a big fan of him, but it's interesting that he came out and said that, and maybe he has some insight on players that teams should take into consideration. Obviously, the team he was talking to is not the Patriots because they did get him, and look what happened. So interesting story. But yeah, that's for him to actually go out there and say that, and now it's public is quite.
Yeah, it's. I mean, he had apparently some sort of insight on something about him.
I mean, listen. I mean, we're talking about beating the drug system versus
killing
somebody.
Right.
So I don't want to say that Meyer definitely thought he was a killer.
And keep in mind, I'm sure college coaches all the time are saying about players that get drafted and be successful all the time. This,
yeah.
so quite honestly, it's probably why it was simply overlooked. He honestly he might have talked to the Patriots about it. We don't know. I just know that NFL teams sometimes take risks on these kinds of players.
Mm-hmm.
And there's nothing unusual about that. It happens all the time.
I mean, most of what we see is the drug, the drug issues. Teams will shy away from a player because of substance, if they've ever had substance abuse issues. Talking about Josh Gordon earlier, he struggled with that throughout his career, and they took a chance on him. It's always attitude or something like that issues, because Des Bryant was one of those guys back when he got drafted. Stay away from this guy, he has a bad attitude. But yeah, I agree with Bobby in the sense that I don't think, obviously, you're not going to assume somebody's a killer, but it's interesting to hear what Urban Meyer had to say about that.
And by the way, after his junior year at college, he decided to forego his senior season and enter the 2010 draft.
There you go.
Gotcha.
3 years there.
3 years.
All right. Well, let's go ahead and move on to the next story. So, obviously, you guys know Netflix is probably the leader in streaming movies and videos and TV shows and all that stuff.
Yes.
What is one department that Netflix has not touched?
Sports.
Yes, specifically live sports.
Mm.
So it has been announced, ironically, on Awful Announcing, that Netflix, they have recently announced that they have absolutely zero plans to expand into the world of live sports. And this is obviously coming from one of the biggest streaming companies. Amazon Prime offers, various live sports, including the streaming rights to Thursday Night Football. Facebook and Twitter, they're not generally competitive with Netflix and Amazon Prime, but they have the rights to different sporting events, and they're pursuing more. And then Hulu and YouTube, specifically Hulu for me. Like, I watch my live sports on Hulu because it's cheaper than for me to pay for Hulu than it is to pay for cable.
Yeah.
But not Netflix. Netflix has zero plans to do this. So, guys, why would Netflix not want to touch live sports?
Honestly, this makes perfect sense to me. Looking at Netflix and their business model, right? I mean, so their revenue comes, from the rights of shows that they end up getting and being able to screen all the subscriptions based on. I mean, they have a ton of content. No one could possibly be able to watch all the stuff that they have on their service at this point. And what happens is they end up taking all that money and they end up flipping it right back into the own business, making their Netflix originals. And the Netflix originals, most of them are pretty damn good. I have to advocate for, obviously Stranger Things. That show is amazing. And then House of Cards was my favorite show, and it's coming into its final season. Obviously, all the stuff with Kevin Spacey. So to me, I'm not totally surprised by this. They're focused on movies and their own content and television shows and all that, and that probably costs a lot of money. Just diving into any like major league live streaming probably costs a lot of money, and they might have to think about starting to cut some of their original content in place of that live sports. And when in reality, and I'd be curious to see this, what numbers are Amazon Prime getting from live streaming Thursday Night Football every week? I still watch it on cable. I have not once at any point watched it on Amazon Prime. Even when okay, the Thursday night, let's say the Patriots are playing on Thursday night I want to watch. I never turn to Amazon Prime. I honestly forget that they have those rights. You know what I end up doing? I end up signing into my Xfinity account and watching it through Xfinity online. That's what I do. Like, I completely forget that they do it. So I'd be curious how much, if Amazon's making any money out of this deal, what their viewership like is every week. Because I think Twitter does the same thing. I think they have the rights to that too. They have one game they do. I know they do. I forget what it is. But this is not surprising to me, and honestly, I'm kind of happy that they didn't go into that, because that means I can enjoy more of their original content and getting more shows on their service that I will watch when live sports really aren't happening. And I'm happy that there's plenty of other places that already have that. So to me, Netflix doesn't need to enter that competition. They're dominating the market that they're in. They don't need to get into stuff like that. Will they down the line? Maybe. Will they get into any live thing down the line? Who knows? There was talk of them starting up a platform similar to YouTube at one point. I don't know if that's still a thing that exists or not. But in terms of live sports, to me, this makes perfect sense. I don't know everything the be all end all of their business, but I know where they're at and where they stand, and to me, this is really no surprise.
I mean, in general, with Netflix and sports, obviously they have sports content out there.
Oh yeah.
But I agree with you. I think what you said with how their business model is, I think it makes sense for them to stick where they are. I don't know. I think, like I said, they do put sports content out. But I remember they used to have the ESPN 30 for 30s, and they might have had the 60s for 60s too, which they have since removed. But their focus, you can say, is obviously not on sports. It's about I mean, I know they put a lot into their Netflix originals and obviously, just entertainment and just in regular movies and TV shows. I don't think sports is their main thing, which is fine because they rule the industry and what they do. So I don't really think they have to expand. Honestly, they make enough.
And
they do good for themselves as it is.
And especially with the introduction of ESPN Plus over the summer,
Yeah, which
you
I actually got a subscription to. I think I might have advocated in this before. It's only $5 a month, and you get access to, all the ESPN stuff, college football, MLS, and stuff like that. And then they have the ESPN originals on there, which might have been the case why Netflix dropped it, because ESPN might have got the rights back and took this
Right.
back. I don't honestly know, but I would assume like that makes sense. So yeah.
All right, well, I'm just going to go ahead and move on to the third story. You guys actually brought up some pretty good points. So that was
we're very smart. Don't underestimate.
Don't you know?
you guys
I
just
mean,
you guys just act smart sometimes.
I mean, we can't predict the NFL season for shit, but we're smart. I promise.
Or do well in fantasy. All right, moving on.
Cincinnati is 2-0. I hate it.
Okay, I hate that too, though. So I'm with you on that one. All right, so moving on, and this is a non-sports related topic, and you guys might actually really like this one. So, have you guys heard about? Just give a yes or no answer. Have you guys heard about the new console that Sony is planning to release?
Yes, I have.
Actually, yes.
Yes. So apparently, for Sony's next console, according to USA Today, is going, as they say, retro. They announced early today, I think, that it will sell a PlayStation Classic, and basically it's a miniature version of the original first PlayStation console, and it is set to be released on December 3rd. So you'll be able to play all of your classic PlayStation games, and it will also come preloaded. It will also come preloaded with 20 retro games, including Final Fantasy VII and Tekken 3. And it will sell. All
right, you can knock it off, dickhead. Jesus Christ.
It will sell for $99.
Bruh.
Thoughts?
Bruh.
Well, I don't know if I can't honestly remember if I've talked to you guys about this or I've talked about this on the podcast, but my uncle has a original PS1 that we play all the time to this day, and they have some of the best games on back on those old PlayStation platforms. It's an interesting idea because I don't think we've ever really seen anything like this. But
we
really
have
like it.
Actually, if I can interrupt, the Nintendo putting out the
yeah, that's right.
Right.
So okay, I mean, it's such a new idea to me though. I don't know, like it seems like they're going backward, but like I really like the idea because I feel like all the old games.
But yet the only system that's backwards compatible is the Xbox One.
Yeah, right. So
is that the funny thing? I saw a little bit of a fight today between someone who plays Xbox mostly. Someone just was like, PlayStation's better. He's like, I can play games from 3 generations on this console, right? like really, like I'm not even trying to get to a console war. I like to play Xbox because I literally can play old games, new games, and everything on this one console. But no, in regards, I am super happy, dude. I have like a crate of like 30, 40 PlayStation 1 games that I am more than happy to dust right off and play again. Mm-hmm. And the first 2 games I'm going to load up are NHL 98 and NCAA Football 97. Like, dude, I'm about to have a blast. I want to buy this thing. I want to buy this thing so goddamn bad. I might even have the original system sitting somewhere, but it probably doesn't work. So I'd be more than happy to pay the $99 to get this back again because I know my controllers work. Like, oh my god, I'm happy by this news. Yes, thank you, Sony, for actually doing something right. Thank you. I appreciate your time. Now, please, dear God, fix the Fortnite issue with the PS4 and enable crossplay. You selfish sons of bitches. All right, thank you. It'll never happen. It'll never happen unless you would think Fortnite would be the thing to turn its hand over. But it didn't. So that really shows how much they stick to their guns. But no, I'm not getting on the Fortnite topic. No, I am very happy to see the PlayStation 1 alive and well in 2018. I'm more than happy to pay for this. So,
all right. Well, that concludes this week's segment. In case you missed it, we're going to go ahead and move on.
A topic that we've kind of had sitting around, and we're going to use it here. And I think this is a perfect time to use it with the Thursday night football matchup that is coming up. It's going to be past for you guys when you listen to this, but it's the Jets versus the Browns. What a matchup! That
Prime time
I'm sure everybody in the world is going to watch, probably more than the Super Bowl.
with my pants off.
Absolutely.
And basically, we kind of wanted to get into a discussion about the state of Thursday Night Football. This has been kind of an ongoing discussion around the league for the past couple of years because, quite honestly, it sucked like Thursday Night Football. There's the whole aspect of, teams are basically coming in and playing on only, 3 days rest, and there's just not enough time to game plan. And then also on top of that, recently we've just seen really shitty matchups. Now, I said it was a good time to bring this up with the game they had this week, but if I'm being realistic, I think this year they tried to push it a little bit more with having better teams on Thursday Night Football, and that might have to do with Fox getting the rights to Thursday Night Football.
The first thing they did was replace the theme song, right? Did you hear it?
No, I haven't. I thought you were being real, man. No, but that's great. It's just like I feel like it's every week. It's like I'm not gonna lie to you. I don't remember except I don't remember the last time I've watched a full Thursday Night Football game.
Wow.
Last notable Thursday Night Football game I've seen was the Aaron Rodgers throw, the Hail Mary against the Lions.
Yeah.
Dude.
That was the last notable moment I've seen in a Thursday Night Football game.
I mean, last week's game, the Ravens, it's like I had the game on in the background, but I wasn't really watching it, and that game was pretty. I mean, that was pathetic. The Bengals basically won that game in the first half, but who in their right mind is going to sit down on a Thursday night at 8:20 in a primetime slot and watch the Jets battle it out against the Browns?
Right, and I'm just looking at the schedule, the Thursday Night Football schedule right now. There's really only one or two intriguing matchups that are really exciting, and one of them is, you guys probably agree, is Eagles-Jaguars. That's pretty interesting, right?
Yeah, and I also think so next week's game, the 27th, is Vikings-Rams. That should be a good game, right?
Vikings-Rams, yeah, that should be pretty good too.
The week after that is Patriots-Colts. It's an old-time matchup, but the Patriots are far and away better than the Colts. You got the week after that. You got the Giants versus the Eagles.
That game's I know Eagles Giants. Primetime matchup. Rivalry, all that.
Yeah,
Giants suck. Okay, I'm gonna keep it real.
Which is a lot. It looks like that's what they're kind of going for here, right? So you have the Patriots and Colts, which is a rivalry. You got the Giants, Eagles, which is a rivalry. And I say Patriots, Colts, obviously for the Super Bowl. I know they're not in the same division, but going down the list, you got Chiefs Chargers in a divisional game. You got Jaguars Titans. So okay, I mean these are better games than we've seen in recent years. But how many times have you turned on a Thursday Night Football game? Sorry, and it's I swear to God, the Browns must play 6 Thursday Night Football games a year. It's the Browns versus the Ravens, or the Bengals versus the fucking Titans. It's just it's so dumb to me. The Broncos play a Thursday night game against the Arizona Cardinals October 18th. And look, I'm a Broncos fan, and I'm going to watch that game because it's my team. But why is that a thing? It's a Thursday night matchup. The Cardinals blow. That they might be a team that finishes 0-16 this year. I mean, Sam Bradford just is awful. They're not even in the same conference, let alone the same division. Why is this a game? I don't understand. If you're gonna pay, if Fox, I'm sure Fox is paying a pretty penny for this. Why are you putting games like that on?
Well, to me, there has to be factors we don't know about. That not everything is out in the open, right? So for me, the way I always think about it, and by the way, I want to say, whoever the hell is in charge of putting together the MLB and the NHL schedule, how the hell do you sleep?
Yeah, really?
Jesus, God Almighty!
And NBA. NBA's gotten better at it though. At least
it is. It's such a weird thing. So there's a lot of factors, right? So let's look into So I'll use the Fargo with the Wells Fargo Center in Philadelphia as an example of something like this. I know it's not football, but I just hear me out. So obviously they're the home of the Philadelphia Flyers and Philadelphia 76ers, right? But the name on the sign is not 76ers Flyers Stadium. It's the Wells Fargo Center. So they're an arena, but they're not a hockey rink or a basketball court or anything like that. They have whatever events make the money they're going to let in. So let's just say the NHL just takes a nosedive and nobody shows up, then why wouldn't they consider cutting something like that, right? But Taylor Swift's going to come to town. She's going to sell out tickets in 20 minutes. So there has to be factors like that. So shows that will that the arenas already have scheduled and other conflicts of interest. So it's like, oh yeah, cool. Philly's going to be in town. Oh wait, no, this other team's over somewhere else. Damn it. Okay, what's another team that we can fill in? Oh, I know. Cleveland. Perfect. Done. Dead and done. That's Thursday Night Football right there. Like that. It's stuff like that. There's got to be these other factors. But you're right though. It seems more and more like we're getting these downgrade in matchups. On the same token though, what if in some alternate universe, all of the Thursday Night Football games for the season featured all good teams? Would we can be complaining about? Let's say Andrew Luck was literally the hottest quarterback in the NFL.
So here's the flip side to the argument. You could say all the bad teams that are in these matchups, but do you want to have two really good teams play against each other on short rest, which could be a really good matchup? Because I'm gonna read you some of the scores from last year's games. Like they're just like weird scores. Now this one is obviously week 1, so it's not like they had, they were on 4 days rest. But the first Thursday Night Football game of the year last year was the Texans versus the Bengals. What a fucking matchup this is. The final score is 13-9. Then we kind of had a good game with the Rams and the 49ers. You got the Patriots versus the Buccaneers, 19-14. The fucking Ravens beat the shit out of the Dolphins, 40-0. I don't know. Like, I just feel like you're taking away from a lot of good play when you have, like I said, teams playing on short rest. Like I've always had a problem with that. Like honestly, I just wish they got rid of Thursday Night Football completely. I don't have a problem with Monday Night Football. That's fine. But I just the beating these guys take. You cannot I feel like it's just almost unhealthy to have these guys play a couple of days later. Your playbook is most likely going to be it's going to shrink just because there's it's hard to do. I don't know what the right word. Not research wouldn't be the right word, but
Well,
the plan for the team.
So the argument for that, Tyler, though, you say short rest and the players are taking a beating. Well, first they're taking a beating no matter what game is being played. And second of all, and I'm not necessarily arguing against you. I'm just giving counter arguments, just saying no.
Yeah.
Even though they're playing Thursday Night Football and they're on short rest, keep in mind they're going to get extended rest after the game.
Yeah.
So they'll still have more time to rest. So I'm not necessarily sure if that half is necessarily relevant as much as it is the shorter playbook.
So with the NFL, you got every team plays 16 games. That's obvious, and that's the problem that I have. If it was a game, a 30-game season or whatever, where not, in the NFL, every game matters. As much as it is, a thing to say, there's not enough games to make up ground in the league. So every game matters. And basically, so you have a team play Sunday, right? So they play Sunday. Monday, they're probably in a usual week. Monday, they're probably resting. Tuesday, and then they start kind of practicing Tuesday. What you have with these Thursday night games is they play Sunday, they rest Tuesday, Monday, and then you have Tuesday and Wednesday for practice, and then a game Thursday. I don't know. I'd never really liked it. I just feel like it's such a you're just throwing guys in the fire, playing.
So what if they change Thursday Night Football to Friday night or Saturday Night Football?
I wouldn't have. I actually love watching Saturday Night Football. Like Friday Night Football would be kind of cool. Saturday night,
The problem is you're running into college football though.
yeah. So yeah, college football Saturday.
Well,
So
okay, then Friday Night Football then.
yeah, I mean, like honestly, like even one day extra, I feel like would be like something. Again, I said this just a few seconds ago. I think it should be eliminated. If you're gonna have matchups like you do, again, I'm literally going back through the years of Thursday Night Football as we speak, and I'm just laughing at some of the games they have on. Like you got the fucking. I said this before last year with the Texans Bengals. You got the Ravens Dolphins, Vikings Browns, Jets Bills, Seahawks Cardinals, Redskins Cowboys. Like I don't know. I just don't think these are games that people are gonna want to watch. I mean the Broncos played the Colts last year in Thursday Night Football. I remember that game and that was hard to watch. And the Broncos won that game. So I've always just had a problem with it. I don't know. Again, like I said, this has kind of been a big topic in the NFL world for a while. But I just figured we kind of have a little conversation about it. It honestly sounds like you guys aren't totally against it, though. From what I'm kind of hearing, I know. I mean, you're kind of giving counterpoints. I get that. I was just like, I guess, what would your final say on it? Since I've done most of the talking.
To me, it's like sorry, Brendon, cut you off, but to me, it's like yeah. I mean, I'm not really dying on Thursday night. Like, oh, I can't wait for Thursday night to watch the football. For me, it's not.
Has anyone legitimately looked forward to it anyway?
Has anyone legitimately what?
Has anyone just looked forward to Thursday Night Football? Like, yeah, I'm gonna go home and watch some Thursday Night Football.
I mean, listen. I come home and I throw the game on, right? I mean, I'll do it just to have it on, right? But usually, like Tyler said earlier, it's stuff that I have in the background. Like unless the Patriots are playing, or some other stories happen, I'm really not paying attention, right? For me, it's like I can live or I can do without it. It's not that big of a deal to me. Like to me, it just sounds like it throws the players and the coaches for a loop. I mean, there's really no disadvantage for the coaches, at least for me, because it's like, well, yeah, okay, the Lions coached at a disadvantage, but yeah, so is Cleveland because same time frame kind of thing. But to me, it's whatever we can make it easier on the players, and in a time where we keep talking about concussions and CTE and injuries over and over and over and over again, you would think the NFL would take a look at this and consider like, wow, maybe this isn't a good idea. Maybe we just stick to Sundays and Mondays, and I'd be fine with that. And that would keep fantasy a hell of a lot easier too, because I always wait for Sunday to check my lineup, but sometimes I'll forget. It's like, oh wait, shit, I might have a Thursday player, and then I'll have to go in and fix that real quick. So I don't know. I see what you're saying, and it definitely makes a lot of sense. I can live without it if they decide to take it away. That's just me.
All right, so here's what I have to say about it, and I'm not going to spend too much time on this. This only seems to be an NFL issue. Why does no one talk about it in college football? Because they have games that are played on fucking Tuesdays, Wednesdays, Thursdays, any day of the week, really.
Yeah, but
why is that not necessarily an issue there?
Because it's not the same team playing 4 days later. It's well, I guess that is true because they're playing Saturday.
Well, hold on. If I can interject, there's one thing you're forgetting to mention, and it's how many teams are playing. Like,
well, yeah, of course. But
yeah, so there's how many teams? There's how many teams in the NFL?
32.
32
yeah.
32 teams in the NFL. Can you even give me a number on how many D1 teams in the NCAA right now? Like even like so, too many. And then
I think it's 130. I might be wrong though.
That's in D1, and it's like I
D1 FBS.
Right, yeah. And it's like I go to a D3 school. I go to a D3 college that has football, has a state of the and they play it Saturday 1:00, right? So along with everybody else. So if I in D1 I root for Michigan. So it's like I may have to miss the Michigan game if I decide to go down to the game. There are so many teams playing, so I'm not surprised one bit that it's spread out like that. On the same token, though, I will admit it's like, okay, let's say Michigan has a game on Friday, and that counts for week 2. And like, hold on, it's week 3, and now you're playing right on Monday. Yeah, that would suck. That would really, really, really suck. But most of the time, you don't have those prime time. To be fair to the bigger players like Michigan, Ohio State, Wisconsin, Alabama, Clemson, they always play on Saturday. You don't see it many time else. The other teams in D1, what are they really fighting for down there? You know what I mean? Like those are the guys that are playing on the Tuesday, Thursday type of deal.
I
No
was gonna
offense to
say,
those teams.
yeah.
I never want to disrespect those teams. But on the same token, NCAA and ESPN, they know what their moneymakers are.
You just made that UTEP fan cry.
I'm so sorry that one UTEP fan watching this podcast.
I mean, look, you have the occasional ranked team play like an unranked team on those like mid weekday games, but you never. I mean, I'm trying to think. I could be wrong here, but I can't remember the last time it was a ranked team versus a ranked team on like a game that wasn't Saturday kind of thing. So,
which is what drives me insane. By the way,
I don't know. I mean, but they're usually like college football is good about it though, because they'll have like the two big games. So they'll have the 3:30 game, or sometimes 3:30 games, and then like the 8 o'clock game, or like usually the big games that they put on ABC.
God, I hate the whole ranked versus unranked thing though. It drives me up a wall.
I
don't know. I'll save this for another podcast, but I
was saying at the we're gonna wrap this up here because we were going really long, but we were saying at the in our college football previews, I was saying that I really haven't followed as much as I would like to college football in the past, but this year I've basically watched every game I can in college football, and you have a ranked team that should win versus unranked team. Like, yeah, I mean, sometimes you're going to get blowouts, but like it's all about like the conference games. Like that's what's interesting to me now. Like, okay, this game means whatever for the conference, and like again, the ranked team should be making winning their conference, but that's not necessarily always the case. I mean, we've seen one of the teams I picked to make the college playoffs, Washington. They lost the first game to Auburn, and to be honest with you, I don't think they've looked great this year. Do I think they'll still win their conference? Yeah, but it's just their games are a lot more interesting. I don't know. I mean, I gotta say, I've really enjoyed college football this year, and it's not. I don't know if it's because I'm new to it, and now I'm finally experiencing it, and it's as good as I thought it would be. But yeah, we kind of went off track there, but
yeah, I know. But the last thing I want to say about it though, it's like it's I'm not saying take away ranked versus unranked games, because there are times when unranked teams make it a game, right? But for me, it when the blowouts happen over and over and over again, especially when it's like one team, like if you see Alabama just destroying these unranked teams,
team,
right? Like how do you
70-0?
Right, like how do you I remember, oh my god, funniest thing ever, when Ohio State beat Rutgers 56-0, and then Rutgers played Michigan the next week, and Michigan beat them 64-0, and damn well that Michigan got that 64 just so they could give the middle finger to Ohio State by beating the shit out of Rutgers. Which, by the way, why I'm mentioning Rutgers specifically is because they're from my hometown, so it's like I know who they are, and they're unranked D1 team. But no. For me, it's like, I mean, I really don't have a straightforward answer of what it'd be, but for me, it's like, how do you follow a team that just completely destroys these unranked teams? Like, it's not even a competition, right? I will try my best not to toot the horn so bad. I'm a Patriots fan, right? And they had that perfect season, or almost perfect season, until Eli Manning. But for me, it's like, at least some of the games were competitive, right? Like some of the teams were good and were on the skill level, so it was easy to follow that season and follow that team.
And the thing about the NFL though is like any team lose to any team on any given day.
Yeah, and I mean you can say the same for college football, but more than likely, if you're
it's extremely less likely.
Right, it's extremely less likely if you have one ranked Alabama versus unranked, I don't know, unranked
Citadel.
That right, like more than likely it's going to be a blowout. Right, so like for me, it's similar to why I find it hard to follow baseball sometimes, because of just it can get real similar real quick sometimes, and that's not a knock at either of those two sports. I love both and played both, but it's just something I can't get behind most of the time. I don't know what the answer is. You're right. If it's all conference games with ranked and unranked, then yeah, it makes sense to make those matches happen. But for me, when it's blowout after blowout, it doesn't make for really good TV. But then again, I've been all for not making the game about TV, about the game itself. But that as a viewer standpoint, that's how I kind of see it. So yeah, sorry we went off track there, everybody, but it did sort of add to the conversation in a way.
Yeah. And now we are going to move on to our Week 3 NFL predictions. Gentlemen, it was not a good week last week. Brendy was the one that came out on top of the predictions, but it was not a good week.
With one win.
Yeah, I was going to say. We also had the Minnesota-Green Bay game and in a tie, which essentially we're going to just it's a wash. We're basically not going to count it. But we had the other games we had were the Carolina-Atlanta game. Atlanta won. That was the game that Brendy got correct. He didn't get the score correct, so he just gets 1 point for that. And then the New England game, we all picked New England, which they lost. So after week 2, the standings read Brendy 3, myself 2, and Bobby 1. Hopefully, going to have a bounce back week.
Hate to see it.
Yeah, hate to see it.
To see.
So as always, we got our 3 highlighted games. The first game we're going to talk about, New Orleans versus Atlanta, which I'm pretty sure Atlanta's. I feel like Atlanta always plays good games, so I feel like they're going to be a staple for these predictions.
Except for week fucking 1, just saying.
But yeah, for real. But New Orleans is visiting Atlanta. In the Mercedes-Benz Stadium. Bobby, we'll start with you. You can give your prediction and the score, and then Brendy and then myself. So go ahead.
Righty. So we got New Orleans and Atlanta, and I'm so sorry, but I have New Orleans taking this one 24-14. Although Atlanta did score a lot of points against the Panthers last week, still not clear so they can hold up, and Alvin Kamara is going on a goddamn running spree right now. So I'm with him scoring multiple points against the Falcons defense, who may be lacking a little bit. So I don't think Atlanta can fend them off, and I'm going with New Orleans on this one, 24-14.
All right, so like I said last week, I think you guys are underrating Atlanta simply because of how they played against Philly.
No, that's a fair criticism.
All right, but anyway, so I've got Atlanta winning 30-17, and the one thing that would concern me as an Atlanta fan is just the amount of injuries that Atlanta has more than anything. It's mainly in the passing department. So if Drew Brees has a good game, then there's no way that Atlanta may be able to contain Drew Brees, just depending on. I think Atlanta has a very good second unit when it comes to their passing defense. And so far, as a fan, I think they've done a pretty good job stopping the run game. It'll be a real test against Alvin Kamara, like I said. I definitely think Atlanta can do it, though, and I have them coming out on top 30-17.
So I'm gonna for my prediction, I'm gonna kind of take both of your points here and combine them. So I have New Orleans winning this game 27-24. The reason being, I think every game that we have predictions for Atlanta until they get healthy, I think the injuries on their back end with Deion Jones. Am I bugging? I always mix names up.
No, you're good.
Deion Jones and Keanu Neal on defense are really big losses. And the other thing that I'm concerned about for the Falcons is they did not do a good job last week containing Christian McCaffrey out of the backfield. He had a lot of receptions, pretty good amount of yards, and you got a better version than that in Alvin Kamara, who is I think he's the most elusive player in the league, and he's one of the best. I think receiving back in the league right now, he's probably the best. So yeah, I like the Saints here. I think New Orleans is going to have a breakout game again on offense. Even though they had week one, their just defense couldn't stop a nosebleed. I think they put some good points up on the board and win this game 27-24. Next game we have on the slate is the Tennessee Titans facing the Jacksonville Jaguars in Jacksonville. Bobby, with your pick for this game.
Okay, so to me, this is I'm basing this just off of strictly momentum. So for me, Jacksonville's coming off a hot win against my New England Patriots.
Wait, who'd they beat?
28-3. So They're coming off hot with the win against the Patriots. Shut up. Coming off hot with the Patriots win. And to me, Tennessee, they took care of the Texans last week, barely. They ran hot in the first quarter and ended up, I think, kicking 2 field goals in the fourth quarter to take it over Houston. And then they lost to the Dolphins in week 1, I believe. So, Tennessee was never really. I don't think they're too promising at this point. They're showing some signs of wear and tear. So I think Jacksonville has this one in the bag. They may get a couple touchdowns, but I think Jacksonville, especially with the way Bortles was playing against the Patriots, I mean, Jesus, he just picked apart our defense. It was hitting every receiver that had both hands. So I have Jacksonville winning 34-17.
Not even both ends. He hit Keelan Cole with a one-handed
catch. That's right. Yeah, he hit Keelan Cole. I forgot about that pass.
Which was insane.
Which was nuts. It was insane. Shout out to him, man. I mean, he's an inspirational player, I gotta say.
All right, so I've got many of the same points.
You know what? I feel like I'm sorry. I feel like an asshole after saying that. I completely forgot about that pass. I am sorry. My apologies. I completely forgot. I completely forgot about that pass. Yikes! I'm so sorry. All right, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Brendy.
All right, so I was just going to say I've got many of the same points as Bobby does, and I'm not going to spend too much time on this prediction because I think Jacksonville is going to be really good. I think that they certainly have one of the better shots in the AFC to get to the conference game. And Tennessee, quite honestly, has been extremely disappointing so far. So I have Jacksonville winning this one 34-20. If Blake Bortles has a similar game to what he did, even like a little bit less of a game than he had last week, he will do great against Tennessee.
Yeah, and we're all in agreement here. I have Jacksonville winning that game 30-16. Blake Bortles actually looked like a competent quarterback last week, which is surprising to see.
Yes,
Dude, this guy looks like somebody. Some weeks I don't even know if he should have a job in the league, and then last week he looked really good. That was also out without Jesus Christ, Leonard Fournette last week, that win. So if they get him back this week, I only think it helps their chances. On the Tennessee side, Marcus Mariota is dealing with that hand injury, which kept them out last week. They got, Tennessee, although they won last week, they didn't look, and again, you got to take it with a grain of salt because Mariota didn't play, but they didn't look great. They had a bunch of field goals, and then they had that one special teams play, which got them a touchdown, which was the fake punt, and then their safety threw it. Their safety who was playing on special teams threw a dot to the guy on the outside for the touchdown. So I don't know. I mean, I don't think their offenses look great so far. And Jacksonville looks good. Their defense is what we thought it would be, and Blake Bortles is actually looks okay. So I have them winning that game. 30-16, and the last game on the slate, it's a battle of Los Angeles. It's the LA Chargers versus the LA Rams at the Rams, I believe. And Bobby, what is your prediction for that game?
Okay, so also you said Battle of Los Angeles San Antonio Bolo, which was a wrestling event. BWG held a couple weeks ago. Just want to get shut up. Sorry. Rams are on a bit of a tear at the moment, if you haven't been paying attention. Todd Gurley, my Lord and Savior fantasy hero, has been just running through everybody. And to me, I think the Rams, with the streak they're on, they beat the Cardinals 34-0 last week, and then ended up beating the Raiders 33-13 in week 1. I say the momentum keeps going. I have the Rams taking over Los Angeles 31-20.
Yeah, and I'm glad you mentioned Todd Gurley because I'm not really a big believer in the Chargers' run defense, especially if they're going to go against Todd Gurley. I don't necessarily see this as not necessarily as a blowout because if Todd Gurley can manage to get himself 2 or 3 touchdowns, then maybe, which he, keep in mind, he is more than capable of doing. But keep in mind, Phillip Rivers has had he's had a pretty good game so far. Like, he's had 3 touchdowns in his and each of the last games, 3 touchdowns week 1, 3 touchdowns in week 2, and only 1 interception. So this game could be a lot closer than we anticipate, but I still have the Rams coming up top.
And I have the same prediction with the Rams winning. I have them winning 27-17. It's going to be interesting. We had Melvin Gordon last week for the Chargers end up with 3 touchdowns. Same thing with Todd Gurley, ended up with 3 touchdowns. And Todd Gurley, like, basically didn't play the second half because he had cramps. And at that point of the game was over, so they didn't even play him for the second half. So he's a scary player. I think, like I said, I think the Rams have looked really good. They have one of the best defenses in the league for me this year. Aqib Talib, who the Broncos had and traded in the offseason. I cannot tell you how bad I miss him, especially with how the Broncos secondary has been looking, but how he's been looking with the Rams. So I think honestly, I think it's going to be a good game. I know Brendy is not very high on the Chargers. I know they're started at 1-1, and I have them losing this game, which would put them to 1-2. But I still believe that they could be, a playoff team down the line, maybe a division winner. Which I don't know with how the Chiefs have been playing and Pat Mahomes. But yeah, I have the final score there being at 27-17.
Sorry, I couldn't get the effect going for some reason. It wouldn't play. I would have definitely hit it if I couldn't get it to play.
Excuse me. Anyway, we are going to wrap up this podcast here. We thank you guys for watching as always. Again, we kind of teased this last week, but stay tuned because we do have some plans coming. If you want to follow us on Twitter at Come Play Network, that's where we kind of post all our updates. We will catch you guys back next week with the NHL season preview. And we'll kind of see from there what we're going to do. But anyway, thanks for watching. If you liked the video, if you like the video, give it a like. And if you haven't subscribed already, please do so. And we will see you next week.